hello, hi, hello, hello, hello. I'm Mrs. Christmas, and I'd like to tell you a story about how the reindeers came to Basingstoke. You see, it was a cold, quiet morning, and all was as it should be in the beautiful land of Christmas. Outside, the snow had settled, and the world was just as it should be. All the presents were wrapped and ready to be delivered. The elves this year had done a fantastic job. They were ahead on all of their targets. They had delivered an outstanding Christmas, so that everything was ready, sorted and filed on Christmas Eve's Eve. Now I came down to do my final checks. Presents wrapped? Check. Cards written? Check. Addresses entered? Check. List checked? Check. Oh, and double checked? Check. Reindeers ready? Not check. What do you mean not check? You see, the reindeers, who had been waiting for this moment for a whole 364 days, were nowhere to be seen. The stable was completely barren. A stable that just hours before had been filled with the hustling hooves of 8 very cheeky reindeers. Where had they gone? Why had they gone? I needed to do some investigation. I went into the first stall, which was belonging to Donna, and I saw on the ground a clue to where the reindeers had gone. You see, amongst all the hay and the straw, I noticed a newspaper that definitely wasn't there before, and one of the pages had been ripped out of the newspaper. This newspaper was called the Basingstoke Gazette. Aha! That must be where they've gone. So, with a sprinkling of magic dust, I'm transported into the middle of an old town. Behind me stood a beautiful museum, and standing right there was Jane Austen. She was very cold to the touch. She must have been there some time. I asked her, I said, "Excuse me, Jane Austen, have you seen my reindeers?" Jane Austen didn't reply. It was quite rude, but anyway. I looked around and I saw Pandora's box, and I thought they must have seen my reindeers because Pandora's box sell absolutely everything. So I stepped inside and I said, "Excuse me, have you seen my reindeers?" Unfortunately, they had not seen my reindeers, but they did have some fairy lights, a yellow bucket, a glass penguin, and some very sparkly wool, which I just couldn't resist. It was lovely. Anyway, I looked everywhere for my reindeers. I knocked onto the house of Handsome and I said, "Hello, have you seen my reindeers?" And Handsome said no. I popped into Poppins. I crawled under the tea bar and I climbed to the very top of the dice tower, and I asked the Red Lion, but still no sign of them. It was nearly lunchtime, and I knew that my reindeers would be starting to get hungry. But because my reindeers are so well travelled, they could have been absolutely anywhere. They could have eaten Japanese at Yamakasi, or they could have had Mexican at Taco Bell, or Thai food at the Lime Leaf, or Turkish food at Maldives, or African food at Al-Frizi, or Chinese at Tang, or Indian food at Agra, Italian at Ask. I was about to give up when I saw an old friend. He owns a cafe in Basingstoke, selling a classic British grub. I ran over to him and I said, Mr. Munch, have you seen my reindeers?" "Oh, hello, Mrs. Christmas. I haven't seen you for ages," said Mr. Munch. "Yes, indeed, I saw your lovely reindeers. They were here a few moments ago, heading into the market square." "The market square? What do they want in the market? They don't want to buy anything from the market." Well, maybe they're at the fruit and veg stall. They sell produce from around the world." "Oh, of course they do. Thank you, Mr. Munch." And off I set into the direction of the market. And sure enough, I saw a colourful display of fruit and vegetables from around the world. But one box, however, was unusually empty. That box contained carrots. You see, reindeers love carrots. It's kind of like how we humans love cake and love chocolates. Well, reindeers feel exactly the same way about carrots. They just can't get enough of them. Carrots are also what reindeers need to be able to fly. It's like rocket fuel. The more they eat, the higher they go. I asked one of the market traders how many carrots had been in that box. They said there were 456 carrots in the box. So I did a bit of quick sums and I realised that each reindeer would have eaten 57 carrots, which would mean that they had travelled just over 1.6 miles, which would be about 8,448 feet, or 257,495 centimetres, which I just needed to know the direction. So I asked the market trader, I said, excuse me, do you know which direction they went? He said, they went in the direction of Proteus creation space, I believe, Mrs. Christmas. And so off I went into the direction of Fairfield School when I got distracted by the weather vane. The weather vane that sat on the top of All Saints Church. It was going crazy. Instead of reliably pointing out which way the wind was blowing to all the passers-by, the cockerel was going round and around and around and around and around. And so I knew that I was close, because my reindeers can change the direction of the wind as they fly through the air because they go so fast. Now I waited for the cockerel to settle, and then I used my magic to travel the 1.6 miles in the direction of the trusty bird. I was very confused, however, when I arrived in this new place, because beneath my feet were cobbled stones. There was a beautiful car over there, a lovely old bus, and I was surrounded by old buildings. I thought I'd gone back in time. Now, my magic is good, but it's not that good. But when I looked up into the sky, I realised it was a ceiling. It was actually inside a building. So I asked a lovely young man with a peaked cap, I said, excuse me, sir, what is this place? Oh, hello, Mrs. Christmas. This is Milestone's Museum. Oh, Father Christmas was here a moment ago. As you know, he loves a bit of Milestone's Museum. He likes to look at the old steam engines and the old carts. And he likes to visit the Christmas market. Oh, of course he does. But does he not realise what day it is tomorrow? Do you know where he is now? The gentleman said, I'm not sure, but over there are your reindeers. The kind gentleman pointed in the direction to the centre of the museum, and sure enough, I saw all 8 of my reindeers. They were eating carrots and some sweets from the sweet shop. They were eating them on the top of a bandstand in the middle of a green. And as I started to approach them, I noticed on the floor some footprints. Some white footprints, snowy footprints, size 11 footprints, Father Christmas size footprints. So I decided to follow them. They led me all the way to an innocent-looking building. But when I opened the doors of this innocent-looking building, I couldn't believe my eyes. Right in front of me was my husband, dressed in a blue jumpsuit, inside a glass tube, and he was hovering 10 feet into the air. Father Christmas was flying. How could this be? Carrots only work on reindeers. Oh, Mr. Christmas, what are you doing? I'm flying, my dear. Isn't it wonderful? Well, I can see you're flying, my dear, but how? Why? I wanted to know what it was like to really fly. You see, I only get to sit in the sleigh. The reindeers look like they're having so much fun flying through the sky. I wanted to try it just once. Father Christmas then rolled over in midair and went up a little higher. Oh, he looked spectacular. Who knew that you could learn to fly in Basingstoke? After a few moments, the magic slowly turned off at I Fly, and Father Christmas came back down to earth. That was wonderful, he said. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you where I was going, my dear, but I saw an advert in the newspaper and I knew I had to come just before the Christmas rush. You know I don't get a lot of time off around Christmas. I replied, I know, my dear. I'm just glad that I found you, and I'm glad that I found all the reindeers before the big day. Once he got out of his blue jumpsuit and returned to his familiar red and white ensemble, he went outside, stepped into his majestic sleigh that was parked in the car park, and Father Christmas gave a little whistle. And he was quickly joined by Donna, Vixen, Blitzen, Comet, Cupid, Dasher, Prancer, and Dancer. Then he recited a magical poem. Who would have thought that when I awoke, I would have ended up flying in Basingstoke? From the North Pole to Festival Place, I leave with a smile on my happy face. So lead the way home, you have nothing to fear. Take to the skies, my trusted reindeer. And with a sprinkling of magic dust, the reindeers took to the skies and delivered Father Christmas and I back to the North Pole so that everything was ready for Christmas Day. I finally did my checks. Presents wrapped? Check. Cards written? Check. Addresses entered? Check. List checked? Check. Oh, and double check. Reindeers ready? Check. Father Christmas ready? Check. Everybody in Basingstoke going to have a lovely Christmas? Let me check. Check. Merry Christmas, everybody.